Thank you, Mike.
Welcome to our November general board meeting for Weston High School's PTO. We have, I may change up the agenda just a little bit to cover a few things as people are arriving. So just want to start off with a few updates. Actually, I'll start with an update from our 2023 parent class reps. We received some sad news over the past week that community member, dear community member, passed away, Carrie McNulty. And we want to say we're so sorry and express our condolences. Janet Hoffman from the class of 2020 group has offered to help anybody who reaches out and wants to help with meal training for the family or helping out with gift cards for Stop and Shop and groceries and things like that. So please do reach out to Janet. We're so sorry for the horrible loss and to her family. Following that, to say welcome to November. We've got a lot of great stuff happening. Looking back on October, it was a very volunteer heavy focus on the SGA homecoming and floats. We did a lot to support them over the past many weeks. They invited us to help decorate the gym, help support them with some funding for the decorations and the floats, and we provided a little pizza and some water and snacks for the students who were decorating the floats the day of the homecoming game. That was great. I hope you saw some of the photos in the newsletter. Kids really did a great job with the floats that day, and of course the dance was fantastic. We had a note from their faculty advisors, Vincent Nadar and Anna Belucas, and I just thought I'd read that so everybody who's following the Zoom meeting and who's here can hear. We love working with the students and their faculty advisors, and here's what they said to us. We just want to take a moment and say thank you for all your help with selling homecoming tickets and decorating the gym on Saturday. It was really appreciated and the kids had a great time. If you could, please extend our thanks to all those that helped from the PTO. You've all been an amazing partner these past couple of weeks, and I hope you know how much we, not just the student government, but the advisors, appreciate your support. It has made our lives a lot easier, and it has been a pleasure to actually meet so many people from the PTO. Vincent Nadar and Anna Belucas. Want to also say thank you from the PTO to all of our PTO members. We wouldn't be able to do all the things we do to help support the school and the community and our students without your membership and participation. So we really do appreciate it, and many thanks to everyone to come and help with all those events, hands-on and with contributions too. So thank you. Coming up, we're really excited. Carrie Schaefer has been putting together our annual Election Day Bake Sale. And she's doing a great job. If you are interested in contributing, please check our flyer in our newsletter and one that separately for baked goods. There's a sign up genius for bringing baked goods to the Election Day Bake Sale. I believe Carrie's taking donations the day before Election Day and also throughout the day. If you're not able to get there the day before, if you're able to in the morning, you'd like to drop off a few more things, that's very welcome. Also, so everybody knows this year, our Election Day Bake Sale proceeds will go to our staff appreciation initiatives. We're really looking forward to doing that with some creativity and some fun things to show our teachers and staff how very appreciated they really are. From Julia Brennan, we have good news about the annual online pie sale coming up. Let's see, she's currently got the pickups scheduled for November 20th, just before Thanksgiving. She's working with the same partner from last year to provide the pies. There's also an initiative if you'd like to donate funding for pies for our services or other donations. There's a drop down on our sales site on our website for the share the pies. So if you'd like to make contributions to help those in need in town with Thanksgiving, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Thank you so much to Carrie and Julia for both their hard work pulling these fantastic favorite fundraisers together again. I don't know, do we have Sonia Stack on? No, okay. So when Sonia gets on, we're going to give her a moment if she'd like to chat, but I just want to point out that ADAP Youth Wellness Council is sponsoring a program coming up on November 16th. It's in the evening, it's for parents. It's called Supporting Teens in Reducing Their Stress and Ours. It's a parent webinar with Dr. Matt Ballas. That'll be at 7 to 8:30 p.m. Check your Facebook class PTO Facebook pages. There was a posting about that yesterday. And more details will be mailed out to you in email soon as well. And that wraps up for our updates for right now. I'd like to turn over to Kiyati Patel, our secretary for PTO, for presentation of the unapproved minutes. Our board members did receive copies via email last night or yesterday, and there's been some time to make some amendments and corrections already. So Kiyati, I'm going to turn over to you.
Hi, everyone. Okay. So after the minutes were distributed yesterday, I received just one change from Joad. The change was about the floats decorations, and George just shared about a joint effort. She wanted to make sure that it was conveyed as it's a joint effort by all the class reps for all 4 grades, in which PTO was going to provide pizza, water, and donuts to all the students involved in decorating the 4 floats for the homecoming parade. So I went ahead and made that change. Other than that, does anybody have any other questions? All right, so in that case, I would like to request for an approval for our October 14th meeting minutes for the general board. Can I please have a first?
Christina is raising her hands.
Okay.
Approved.
Can I have a second, please?
JC.
Casey, okay. All in favor? Anybody opposed?
No.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Approved.
All righty, thank you, Kiyati. And now we're going to turn over to your treasurer, Mona Sharma, to present the financials and talk about any updates or changes.
You want me to move over?
Are you
Okay.
close enough to
You're
look
okay?
at?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Hi. I wanted to start with the operating report for September 30th. For the month of September, we received just $500 temporary, just from some money that we moved from philanthropy to be repaid once membership fees are received. And we've made payments for insurance of $420, leaving us with a balance of $239.51. in our operating account. Any questions on operating? No. Okay, so moving on to philanthropy. As of September 30th, 2022, we received amounts from our class of 23 signs, for our class of 23 signs, PSAT registrations, and a small amount for interest. We've also made payments for our WEF annual donation of $500, and we paid $1,000 for our Q1 principals discretionary fund, leaving us with a balance of $64,334.71, of which $20,305 have been allocated, leaving us with an ending balance as of September 30th, 2022 of $44,030. Any questions on philanthropy? Nope. Okay, with that, can I get a motion to approve our financials as of September 30th, 2022? Chris,
Yes.
oh,
We
Christina.
had
Carrie's
Carrie's first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Carrie Schaefer would be our first, and our second, Christina. All in favor? Well,
Are we doing a
poll.
poll?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Try to pull it up.
there we go.
Budget, no, it's not budget.
great.
Thank you.
I did have one more order of business.
Yes.
We, as a PTO, would like to get approval to add $500 more in our philanthropy budget for our general spirit fund. This would cover snacks during testing, midterms, finals, hot chocolates and treats for the children, just as a way to kind of, before the actual exams. So we would like to just add 500 to our general spirit fund.
It was voted through first at exec board.
It's gone through exec board and has been approved at exec board. So we just wanted to get the approval at our general
Yes.
board as well. Any questions from anybody?
Bananas.
I'm sorry,
Bananas before testing.
bananas. Okay,
Those are awesome.
okay.
Well, it's the day
Question.
before, it's
It would
it's
be the-
not, it's the day before midterms, and it's kind of like a good luck on midterms.
Right.
Good
And
luck
it
on
wouldn't, right,
finals.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
be any
It's- it doesn't
sugar,
be a study.
right, the day of. It wouldn't be anything like
Right, it's
that.
not the day of.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just, thank you. Any other questions? No. Can I get a motion to approve? July, can I get a second?
Kim?
Kim, thank you. All in favor? Great. Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for approving that. We'll be able to look out for our kids and do some nice things to cheer and bring spirits during testing periods. Next on our agenda, I don't believe Liv from Communications has anything to contribute, but I did just want to say thank you to Liv and let her know what a fantastic job she's been doing. I hope those of you who've been checking out our newsletter have seen we've been working, and Liv's been working very hard to make it more content rich and more engaging and visually appealing, and the web newsletter looks fantastic. So many thanks to Liv for all her hard work. She had a great vision at the beginning of the year, and it's coming together beautifully. And next on our list was Casey Saucy from Philanthropy. Casey, I don't know if you had any updates for us today. I don't think you did, but just wanted to say hello and check in.
Yes, I do not have an update from Philanthropy, nothing to report.
That's great. All right, Thank you. don't have Andrew here yet. Is he online? Yeah, okay.
Oh, here's a question.
Oh, sorry.
Did the fundraiser for the sustainability course get funded? Do we want to help fund their project?
I don't believe the sustainability course was a PTO initiative.
It's not, but it's a school initiative that we could support.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I don't know that hard. I'm sorry.
I was just like curious as an update, like did the Daffodil fundraiser for the sustainability course work, and do we need to help them with their initiatives?
You know what? I don't have the feedback on that, but when our principal Megan comes in, let's circle back and ask her if she could give us an update on that. And yes, by all means, if you.
And I can ask my son, he's homesick and he's in the Venmo with that,
This-
so
the
I'll see what they have.
Sustainability program this year is a huge step forward for our school. I love it.
Yeah,
This is where you could plant daffodils for seniors.
Yeah,
There's going
Mhm.
to be a path.
yes.
Well, I think it's a fundraiser for the group. They're like selling the daffodils so that they can have money to do other projects.
Other
initiatives.
Yes. We'll circle back. I'll get an answer for you. So Andrew is not online at the moment, so we're gonna move on to our SGA liaison, Jay Sharma. She's our student government student representative who reports to the PTO for our meetings. And she's unfortunately, or fortunately, in exam right now. So she sent me a report, which I'll read. Yeah, this is from Jay Sharma, our student government liaison. Homecoming week was a great success, and we can't thank the PTO enough for donating money and helping make the dance and the floats possible. Now that the homecoming week and powder puff are over and things have calmed down, our focus is mostly on fundraising and community service. Each grade group must contribute to community service by choosing an origination to work with. For example, I believe the sophomore class may work with the Circle of Friends organization, though we have not finalized that at this time. Other than fundraising, there is another thing we've been working on. With Thanksgiving and the holidays coming up soon, we may do some themed fundraisers, but again, nothing has been completely finalized yet. I believe grade groups are just throwing out fundraising ideas at the moment, but I'll let you know once we decide on what events we'll be moving forward with. I will also follow up with the information from the executive board if there's any, as soon as I hear back from them. So it sounds like they're having a lot of fun. They've gotten off to an incredibly busy and productive start. Just taking on homecoming dance for the first time in well over a decade. The kids have been working so hard. They've been doing great things. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what comes out of this month's plans. Moving on, we're happy to have our SPED liaison JC here. And yep, he's doing BOE. Sure, why don't we, if you're comfortable going
Sure.
ahead, and then we'll circle back to Andrew when he's up. Thank you.
Thank you. So I've been putting together a parents group across the school. There are a lot of fragmented groups throughout the whole district where we have multiple Facebook groups, different entities of people meeting, and I'm trying to kind of corral people in the high school at least to try and form a parents group of parents who have an interest in SPED. Currently we have 10 members in the high school, but across the district there are close to like 80 parents who are involved with the SPED community. Our group collectively, we've been putting together presentations and information sessions. Last week we had, or 2 weeks ago, we had one called Falling Off a Cliff, what happens when your child ages out of school, and different government programs and different paths that they can take outside of the school system when they get to 22. which was very informative for a lot of parents, and I have that presentation available. Last night we had one which was called Understanding Policies. 20 parents came to that, and it was hosted by a parent who also happens to be a lawyer in the district, and she was basically helping parents understand IEPs, 504s, process, what are the things that you need to be aware of, and at what point in your child's advancement through school, from kindergarten through to 22, if that's the child's path, you need to be doing and what you need to be doing with the school district. On top of that, next week, we've been working with the district. So Tracy Edwards is hosting a session on understanding the new IEP and 504, the process. And she sent out a district-wide communication trying to basically get everyone together and help everyone understand how the new system works. In the high school, I've been working with the two Erics. They've been doing unified sports. So last week we had an away game against Bethel, which was great fun. They've been doing Zumba. Next week they're playing against Joel Barlow High School. And then I know you guys just mentioned Circle of Friends. That started last week, and the next meeting is on Monday. So that's kind of a group where kids who are neurotypical pair up with kids who have special needs, and they kind of develop bonds and friendships, and they basically help them go through high school. One thing that I'm trying to do is put together an initiative to get more parents involved, because we have a substantial number of parents in the district who kids have a 504 or an IEP, but we have low representation. So we're planning on hosting a coffee group just to get everyone together before the holidays. And then outside of that, I've been working with both the school. So I met with Megan once. I'm going to try and meet with her again in the next couple of weeks to put some initiatives and some help, I guess, raise the visibility of the SPED kids in high school. That's it. So, any questions? Yeah.
What would you hope participation would be? Is it advocacy? Is it making sure the rules are being followed? Is it just community engagement?
So there's multiple aspects. So one of them definitely is education. So a lot of parents who come into this, a kid gets a 504 and IEP, you're like, oh my God, what do I do? And they have no idea because it's not necessarily clear. So one part of that is education. There's another part of that which is a sense of community. So sometimes I know I have over the years, you feel kind of alone and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm the only one who's facing that, and you're not, because there are other parents who have kids, but you just someone a sounding block. And then some part of it is for advocacy. So, raising visibility of SPED in the district, maybe putting some initiatives together to, where, the end goal would be to have a situation where, the SPED body was much more integrated with the other students. So it's kind of pulling the two together. So yeah, it's kind of multi-pronged, and then we're open for any ideas.
Do you have an email group of people?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was in the newsletter. So anyone, just send me a buzz. I know some people don't like Facebook, so I kind of put up a Google group. But there is a Facebook group as well, which we use for that's the one which has got like 80 or 90 parents, and it's very well moderated, so there's not a lot of complaining and stuff. And it's more about trying to make some positive changes, as opposed to some of the other stuff that goes on in the other groups.
I've noticed a huge increase in Chroma, and then of course WISC, because they're doing a lot of things combined, but mostly in Chroma forming sped community.
Yeah,
They've had like 2 or 3 copies already this year.
they have?
Yep.
Okay, well, because I'm kind of at the high school level, and then there's a couple of other moms who are kind of working on the other 2 schools, so I'm kind of working together with them to just try and form because ideally we would have one group which was spread across the whole district, but it's kind of very fragmented at the moment. I mean, the PTOs are all different. So the first part is just get everyone together and figure out, okay, so this is our group, and then we can start to create change and advocate for our kids. But I didn't know that, but that's
Yeah,
good.
reach out to the robot communications person. They know all the people over in Robot that are involved.
Right.
It seems like a strong community at Robot.
Yeah, and I also met with Westport PTO SPED group, and theirs is probably 80 members strong in terms of their representation of. They have a lot of kids, but they have a much bigger district. But one of the things that we got Tracy Edwards to do is she met with Mike Rizzo, who used to be here and is now at Westport, to try and figure out look at some ideas of the way that they do things there. But we're very well, I'm very well connected with the parents over there, and so we're trying to work together to figure out how we can kind of change the trajectory for what we do here, to try and emulate what they do in Westport.
Just to comment on I know Hurlbut has, their PTO has made a tremendous effort at coffees all around. So they've covered, all aspects of the community. They've done a fantastic job. They've had a dad's night out at Milestone. They've done a number of community building things with all groups. And I don't know what the SPED turnout was at the SPED coffee. Do you know?
I didn't go. I didn't know the rules changed. I have kids that have that, but
Just curious. So-
Yeah.
So JC, what's, we definitely want to help connect the community. What is the best way for people who are interested in getting in touch with you? It's
Well, in the high
just
school,
email you,
just
high school.
email me in the high school, but we're also, there's like a collective group. There's 2 of us spearheading it on Facebook, but if you reach out to me, I can then connect
But
you
for the high
into that.
school Google group.
High school's a Google group, but then we have a Facebook group for the district.
Okay.
JC, what's your email? I'll just pop
It's
it in.
JC at, then my last name, OLIGARIO.com.
Did I do that right? Oligaro?
Ogario,
G-I-A.
GAIGARIO. That's it. No. Okay,
Thank you.
I'm like, I
And
was
it's
gonna
on the-
write it down, but I can't. I know she's
And
it.
I have it right there. JC.Oligar@oligar.com.
Yeah, that's it.
Hopefully I got it right on the agenda.
You did.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
No,
Oh, it's right there. Oh,
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, I'm writing it down, it's right there.
But there's an at sign between JC.
Right, I see it, yep,
There should be.
yes.
Okay, thanks so much again. I appreciate you coming in today and really nice to see you.
Yeah.
And next up on our agenda, we have our Board of Ed representative, our chairperson, Andrew Chi, to update us on the most recent Board of Ed meeting, giving the highlights and sharing. Would you like to? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to move, so Chris, the coffee mug's not blocking you. We're good. Yeah, thanks.
Wonderful work, compliment. Yeah, so for the interest of time, since it was essentially a 4-hour-long meeting, and actually most of the Board of Education meeting recently wasn't about the high school per se, but about the school district. One can either review the video or one can review the 4-page notes that I took that are in the email and PTO website. But anyways, there are 2 points that I wanted to bring up. One is about the school calendar and the other relevant topic from the Board of Education meeting is the New England Association for Schools and Colleges evaluation that's coming up this year. So for that NEASC evaluation, the NEASC, the New England Association for Schools and Colleges, is a nonprofit which examines various schools and gives or denies accreditation. So they will have a visit here in person in the school district on April 20th and 21st. But prior to that, the NEASC is sending out surveys to students, staff, and parents. And so it would probably be of your best interest to fill out these surveys so that you can give your input about the school district. As for the school calendar, what's relevant is that now Juneteenth is a holiday. There will be a new full day off in May to help teachers to set up goals and establish goal planning for the subsequent. And the state of Connecticut will not count snow days as remote learning days.
Say that again?
The state will not count snow days as remote learning days.
So they still would, if you had snow days, it just gets added on in June as opposed to they could be remote and not have to add the dates on.
Oh, I don't know, I was just.
No, that's the correct understanding. They decided that you can't have online school when school is closed for weather.
Okay.
There's an intention to preserve childhood.
Ah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So you're wrapped up. Thank you so much. Thank you. Carrie, I don't know if you came in after I talked about the election day bake sale. Would you like to add another plug in for you?
Well, it will be here on Tuesday. Yay! All day. So if you haven't signed up to bake something or purchase and then bring it, please do. I have flyers. So I'll leave a couple of flyers. If you're interested, the email address or the website, I'm sorry, is on here. And if you can't, the drop off day is on Monday at between 3 and 6, but if you can't drop it off, just bring it when you go to vote. Super easy. That's about it.
Thank you, Carrie. Just
Yeah, of course. Those.
So we'll move on to our parent class reps. We already had an update from Janet, but I want to expand on that. They have been selling seat cushions for the stadium seats. They were gifted remaining from the previous year's grade. There were leftovers that were not sold. So the class of 2023 has been going ahead and selling them at football games. They were at homecoming game. At this point in time, they decided they're going to donate all the proceeds from the sales to Carrie McNulty's children from the class of 2023. So I just wanted to share that on behalf of the seniors from Janet. Juniors, I can represent for the class of 2024. We don't have any big updates, but we are going to be meeting with student government this afternoon and discussing ideas and plans and what we can do to help and support juniors as part of the new PTO. And sophomores, I'll turn over to July.
Nothing in particular stands out. Just it was really awesome to see the kids decorate their float last week or week before. I can't remember, but not long ago. And we are in communication with the Student Government Association to continue working alongside them, trying to work together for some ideas for spirit from the PTO to them. So we've reached out with a couple of ideas, and then we just want to get their feedback on what they think would be something nice for them, from us to them during the year. So we're working along with the student government advisors and the students.
Yeah. Do we have anybody from the freshmen online or?
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning. Nothing to report at this point.
Thank you, Anne. I just wanted to add, we have a new team member on the PTO class of 2026 reps. Tammy Roberts will be joining as a PTO parent rep with the class of 2026. Thanks to Tammy for joining. And thanks, Anne, for your update. We're going to jump straight now to our principal, Megan Ward. We're very happy to have her here this morning as we're at every meeting. We're just going to turn over to.
Am I okay to stay here?
Yeah, you're welcome to whichever you prefer. Be good there?
Yeah, great. Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
So as Joanne and Christine shared, everyone, I think we had a lot of folks at the homecoming game and events. And the dance, we had a great spirit week. I think we had an amazing turnout for the students at the dance, as many heard. And we're hoping that that's a tradition that's going to stick. The floats were really cool. And I didn't realize that that was a newer addition too, to kind of bring back that tradition. So I was just kind of, this is what we do. It's like, no, this is newer stuff. So I was really excited. The kids were really excited. Yesterday, Uncle Leo's brought the juniors their winning prize during our Take 10. So they had those awesome Uncle Leo's donuts. So we're super grateful to them and also to the PTO for all of your support. I mean, really, that could not have happened with all of the parent volunteers, whether it was selling tickets to the dance or your generous donations to the classes to support the floats. So it was a really fun and really cool week for our kids. We have more to come. Student government wants to meet with me about a December event in school in terms of celebrating the winter athletes and other winter events that happen. I know we have a robotics tournament coming up. We have a Midsummer Night's Dream that starts on the 11th next Friday, which we're really excited for. So lots continuing to happen. We've talked about freshman orientation here at this table before, and I'm really excited to announce that we've also partnered with the Weston Education Foundation, and they've supported the grant proposal to initiate Link Crew, which is a part of the parent organization Boomerang Project. I'm going to share more about that in my coming weeks ahead. That is an organization that trains staff to run essentially a freshman orientation program. And it partners upperclassmen, juniors and seniors with those ninth graders. And then they also push into advisory. It is not an advisory program, but we at Weston would use our advisory period as a way for the upperclassmen to connect with the freshmen throughout the year. So they do the training, the teachers come back, train the upperclassmen to run those events. It results ideally in an all-day freshman orientation prior to the start of school. So we're going to get that date out as soon as possible. And we're really thinking that this could be a really great opportunity for freshmen to get a better lay of the land. I know sometimes they come in like, am I supposed to, I have to leave early. Am I supposed to give you my note? Right. And so some of those more process oriented things to give them a heads up about. And it's nice when the kids talk to kids because they know those processes probably better than anyone because they're the ones that are using them throughout the day. And then just to help them get a sense of even workload and like how they've learned as upperclassmen to manage the workload. And having that all day kind of moment in the school. And then to see what I've heard from students is it's really nice on those first days of school to also see their Link Crew mentors in the hallway. They, the mentors, the whole part of the program is like they're reaching out to them over the summer. They're texting them like, we can't wait to see you. And it's like friendly faces throughout the day as they enter high school. So I can't speak highly enough. We'll have some staff here that will go do some school visits. We know that Newtown has an amazing program that's existed for a long time at Newtown High School. Staples High School also has a program that we can go and visit and talk to the teachers that have implemented that there and learn from them as well. So we're super excited about that to come. Andrew talked about our NEAS visit. I mentioned that different committee meetings, board meetings. The first visit is a collaborative visit. And that's really where we submit evidence of what is going on here. It's a small visit. It's not like these big NEAS visits that'll happen 2 years from now. It's a 2-day smaller team that comes in. They go around, they observe classes, they talk to students, they talk to teachers, and they give us some reflective work to do based on the evidence we provide and what they're hearing. So it's a nice opportunity for us to get some preliminary feedback. And then 2 years from now is when they come back and do their decennial visit. And that's when we get even more feedback and, recommendations and commendations on what's going on here. So lots going on. We had a fun faculty meeting yesterday where we had a few teachers. I know there have been questions about like how much are kids using their computers and computers are part of our lives, right? Every time I go somewhere, I have this handy device in case I need to look something up. And I think our teachers are also recognizing that students need to be doing things in writing. So one of our teachers yesterday, Amy Holmes, showed an activity that she does with the huge Post-its and having kids write the quotes from the text and then going around and analyzing the different quotes other students have chosen and leaving comments and feedback all in writing and using Post-its and all that. We have Lucas Walker shared an assignment that he did about, kids creating and how he revamped it to get more student kind of voice and choice in that project from the one he did last year. So we're finding that that's really valuable. Tina Canetta, for example, I think it was in her sociology class, where they were working on the Piaget stages of development, and she gave them kind of a toolbox of different things from like Play-Doh to glow sticks and all that kind of stuff. And the kids had to create games based on the stages of development they were assigned. So it was a really great way for kids to really reflect and learn those stages of development and apply them. So really cool things going on in our classrooms. Still lots to do and lots to come this year as our quarter closes. I would say the last plug, I would say if you are on PowerSchool and you have any questions or concerns, the teacher should be your first point of contact. So I would just put that out there. Just generally, they're the person that's going to have the best information for you, on a first pass if you have concerns about how your child is doing.
I want to ask a question. I don't know if you have the answer. It came up before you were in the meeting. A question about the Daffodil fundraiser, and if you know how that's going, could you repose your question?
I am very pleased that the Weston Public School is offering a sustainability course. I think that it's a wonderful thing for the kids, and I would love to support it, and I'd love for the PTO to support it. So earlier I asked if the PTO was supporting it and whether the Daffodil fundraiser raised enough money to support their other projects.
That is a really good question that I can find the answer to. I know I've been continuing to promote it. I don't know what the number of bulbs sold is to date, but I can definitely.
It's not about the bulb, like they wanted to earn this money so that they could then use it towards their sustainability.
No, I know, but the number of bulbs sold tells us how much
How
money
much,
they
got
have,
it.
and then, right?
Sorry.
So I have to get some numbers on.
My
that.
son
Yeah.
just texted me because he's homesick and he has the Venmo, and he said $2,700 right now they're at.
That's awesome.
Is that,
Yeah.
is that their goal?
I don't know. I
I
just
think
texted
that-
him what
I
their
wanna
goal
say
is, so
that
I don't know.
exceeds their goal.
I was gonna say, because I don't
Yeah,
even
I
know
think
what it is.
That's more than I thought, so that's amazing.
I want some. Yeah. So that's great.
Go ahead.
Since I have this opportunity and all who are listening,
Yeah.
Naomi Fenster graduated a few years ago. She really wanted to bring reusable cutlery to the cafeteria, and I hope all of you will consider how you could play a part in having the sustainability class get reusable utensils.
Reusable, requiring a dishwasher.
Correct. It's really environmentally good and it's not more expensive, I promise. She did a whole
I think
report
we'd
on
have to
it,
buy
you
a
guys
dishwasher.
read
I
it.
know, I 100% agree, right? I would advocate for that. I think it requires more planning.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
The
You need
biggest,
to get
the
a
biggest
high-end
problem
dishwasher.
with
You have to get plumbing and all
reusable
that stuff.
plates,
Or hire the
cups,
kids to
and
wash
silverware
dishes.
in schools throughout the country is that kids take them away, and the school district loses them. Because kids take them home or leave them in their
Oh,
car.
the cutlery
or
and all
leave them
that?
in the garbage. What?
The
It's
reusing?
like silverware.
Oh, the
Silverware,
actual
throw it
physical-
away or they put it in their backpack and it disappears. That's the biggest problem with using.
Yeah, I
reusable
guess I would also
plates.
wonder for, and maybe this is the sustainability class and maybe it's not, like there are a lot of restaurant franchises. Say Chipotle is one of them, but I want to talk about sure. That uses like the corn-based silverware that's compostable.
Right.
So that could be a first
Another
pass. Again, that's a Chartwell's conversation too, so that's, it involves, I hear you, and it definitely involves more folks at the
And
table.
if you talk to
I hear
Mr.
you.
Aikenhead, he'll be open to anything. And
Oh, I
he'll-
love him.
Yeah,
I
and
love
so
him.
he'll,
If
I would
we
send
could
him an email.
multiply
Yeah.
See what he thinks.
Totally.
And divide him.
Actually, I'm just thinking of another question for Megan, but is Sonia Stack online? If not, I'm going to,
I can talk about the
yeah,
presenter.
okay. I'm gonna turn back to Megan to talk about the presenter that ADAP is sponsoring.
So ADAP, the Alcohol and Drug Awareness Prevention.
Yes.
Prevention. Awareness and
Program
prevention.
or
Okay.
P.
Yeah. Um, They're a prevention council. Our sponsor, working with the schools and sponsoring Matt Bellis, who's a doctor of psychology, who's coming to talk to students about, healthy habits, work towards prevention of the use of and abuse of substances, and also talking about that idea of resilience and persistence and how we kind of deal with some disappointing moments that we can all encounter in our life. So pairing those two topics. And what we understand to be a dynamic presentation. I think he was here maybe 8 years ago. So if you've had kids in the schools had other students pass through. I know I just said yesterday, everything pre-COVID seems like a decade ago.
Yeah.
So that will be, he is presenting to 2 assemblies in the morning here to our high schoolers. And then he is also doing a 7th and 8th grade assembly. Also here, the middle school 7th and 8th graders are coming in the afternoon here. At night, he's doing a parent presentation on the same topic, but also geared towards parents for that night. Sonia and I also talked, and we are going to invite area councils as well to invite their parents to attend, because we really do want to continue to invest in the community coalition surrounding us so that we can benefit from their programs, they can benefit from our programs, and continue to build that partnership. So I would encourage everyone to attend. I think it's always nice as a parent when you have that parent workshop at night, so you can really understand what the conversations and the topics were during the day.
Thank you.
That's-
Sonia did message that she was trying to come online and speak, but we couldn't hear her. Sonia, did you?
Casey just asked, I think it's a 7 p.m. start
And it's on the 16th,
on the
correct?
16th, because the student ones are happening during the day. So then parents have that one in the evening, and
The
I had it jotted down
crash
here.
simulator was awesome.
It's 7 to 8:30 p.m. on November 16th for the parents webinar. All right, Sonia, I think, I don't know if you're trying to log in again to say anything, or to open your mic up. I can't see and I don't hear you speaking, so I'm gonna say thank you very much.
Oh, there she is. She's trying to connect.
Okay. Sonia, just so you know, we see on the screen that you've got dots trying to connect, but we're going to thank Megan very much for her covering that topic and her time. And let's briefly turn back over to Jawad, our VP, who handles all of our meeting guests, and ask if she could just mention a little bit about our December meeting before we turn over to Officer Joe.
So as part of our role in the PTO is to bring you as the parent body and the teachers, speakers. So you've seen that we've featured Superintendent Lisa Rivera in the first one. You featured Randy Green in the second one. We're super excited to have our SRO, Joe Mogollon, did I say that right? Today. And I am currently in conversations to have the new title, Superintendent Assistant, Tina Henkel. I will be having a meeting with her in the coming weeks to discuss what topic we think would be of interest and relevance to you as parents and teachers. So we're excited to have her be our feature speaker for the general board meeting, PTO meeting in December. Yes.
Are you ready?
And now,
Yes.
we have our SRO. Do you want to sit here? Do you have a presentation?
Yeah.
Do you want to send it to me via email and
Sure.
I'll just share my screen? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm on Zoom, yeah.
Just gonna ask, just give us a moment while we get Officer Joe's presentation up and running. Does anybody have any topics or anything to add that we want to chat about while we deal with the tech aspect of presentation?
I do want to mention about the school climate committee thing. Did you send a survey to just the kids or was it parents too?
So we sent surveys out to teachers, students, and families. We sent it out twice.
Okay,
It was also linked in my week ahead.
okay, I'll check that
Yeah.
in there. Okay,
The window closed. It was out there for a while. I'm
okay.
sorry.
No, that's okay. I might have filled
We
it out.
did
just
have
completely forgot because-
150 participants. It was very, it was
Yeah,
short.
Okay,
But we do feel like we have ample, I think, information to provide us with this first kind of pass on feedback, and then we'll continue to work on that.
okay,
I should also add that I had sent out an email to families too about our school climate committee.
yes.
Which is, that's different from NEAS. That committee, I think, is really essential to schools because I want a team
Yes.
that has parents, students, and staff represented.
Yes.
So as we look at things like
And
how,
community members too, because we have that in our other couple districts, like 2 staff, 2 admins, 2 parents,
Yeah.
2 community members. And it was really, really a great thing to do.
yeah, and I think we have some great organizations that we partner with that would serve kind of that purpose and intention of the community members as
Yeah.
we like continue to work on things. I think we need to get a handle on kind of what we're prioritizing,
Right.
kind of what our overall purpose is,
Right.
especially as we come to the end of first quarter and there's
Yeah.
some stresses in terms of grading. and all
Yes.
For beginning
Tiny bit,
second
tiny bit.
quarter for 2 days already.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So, but I'm gonna send an email out soon to
Okay.
anyone who volunteered to be on that committee.
Yes.
With the other survey.
Oh,
Okay, I
Yeah.
would love to volunteer on that.
On the school
On the
climate.
school, yeah.
Do that survey?
That's the one I'm talking about,
Oh,
school climate survey. I don't,
Did
I
you
don't.
put your name in?
No, I don't remember. I just saw it in the newsletter, but I didn't see any link.
Maybe
The
I
link was in the one before.
Oh, the one before. So are you asking for volunteers already?
I think I have about 6 parents volunteer, so if you wanna, I know, I'm gonna, or here, put your name.
I am going to apply directly.
You guys get to sell them, they'll be in individual.
But everything here is in your space, so.
Everything.
So.
And you can keep all of.
So the school climate committee survey was prior to that email?
Yeah, it's directed to my laptop.
Well, here's.
Yes, I was so excited.
Can
I
you-
thought we would be
can you
supporting
copy us
Makepeace Farm
the
fundraiser, but we're.
I actually just, well,
Yeah.
You can just put the camera on the screen.
Well, it's a USB.
Yeah, and then we can do it here.
I mean, unless you want to be on the,
I told them
Could
that I
do.
would like to advertise.
I mean, it's not gonna be,
It's not gonna be.
high def.
It's a good idea. That's called MacGyvering it, you know.
MacGyver, right.
You can send files.
Do the QR code and buy the bag for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Way back.
Now the donuts,
We can't share the screen.
No,
we're trying to
His
share his
presentation is
slides.
on his laptop, so we're
You
trying to
could
go
have a
in
USB
here.
key.
Right.
Email.
Yeah.
We should not get remember that fast.
No, no,
But
I get it.
because it's
Yeah,
automatic
yeah,
on my
yeah.
computer,
I
and I
would-
never put in my
Yeah, yeah.
password.
But they're
I can't even.
they'll have
put
the
my
ingredients for
password.
this.
On the pie.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's
they'll
not
have
play
the,
around,
Yeah.
while you do that, but-
Yeah, it's already.
good
Plus it's the
hygiene,
ones you talk about
good
the
stuff.
Yeah, that's our.
So, well, the
civil
donuts
service.
come in a box that's six, so you could sell the boxes, or you could
What's,
sell one.
what's,
He's doing it now.
They're already in boxes.
awesome.
You just said they weren't individual, so I was thinking.
We're still sorting out our technical, plan for presentation.
you have to have a computer presentation, don't you?
While we're all waiting at home, Megan, do you mind if I ask another very simple question? You mentioned at the beginning of your talk about, the kids that take 10.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah. Sorry, Megan's now helping us, so I'll ask the question. Take 10, Kim was just asking what it is, because I brought it up again. Take 10 is a break, I believe, in the morning that the kids get 10 minutes to relax, to use.
There are always some things going on too. So Joe's gonna
Okay.
do his presentation. I might pop in and out, but what was the question about
Okay.
take 10?
My question about Take 10 was just, for those parents who are not familiar with it, what is it, how's it going, what are the kids doing? And
Oh, yeah. Take 10 is a 10-minute break, essentially, in the morning. It's a great opportunity. Some kids use it to go to the cafeteria, buy a quick snack. Some kids just use it as literally a moment to take 10 minutes and kind of get themselves together. Some use it to chat with friends. It's just a moment of downtime. A moment of downtime in their morning. I think I said this before, that I went to Barlow. And they have had a tradition of the 10-minute break there. So I experienced it as a student. I loved it. Sometimes we would do popcorn sales, right? Like different classes did different things. Here yesterday with Uncle Leo's bringing the donuts. Originally, the student government had said, Uncle Leo's is coming. We're gonna dismiss juniors, you know, in the last 10 minutes of the day. And I thought, love that. But I said, let's use 10-minute break. Like that's what it's really intended for. And they were donuts, more appropriate in the morning. So that's what we use 10-minute break. So looking at ways that we can use it as like a positive moment in the day, but also just knowing that if any one of us, I think, followed a high schooler around in their day, you would very quickly realize the amount that they have to do. And then you tack on the rigor of the courses that they're taking, you know, the number of rigorous courses that they are taking, their schedule. I remember talking to some kids who had graduated in previous districts. To some degree, they look at college, they go to college and they say,
This is so
easy, this is easier, right? Because they have those breaks in their day. So that's kind of the intention around Take 10. I think we have positive feedback around it, and yeah, and it's something that, for example, like in NEASC might come to look at. NEASC looks at our advisory program. They look at our courses, of course, they look at our program of studies, but they also look at some of those things that we're implementing in terms of focusing on students' social and emotional well-being.
So now we
Good
have.
question.
Oh, I was wondering if you think that they will stifle efforts from the school, or they could only benefit efforts of the school. Who? The regulatory group that's evaluating the schools and certifying them.
I think that historically, my experience with NEASC is that they are so student-centered that they're really making sure that schools have a whole kind of child approach to education. So NEASC was one of the first organizations, to my knowledge and memory, that really through their accreditation, really promoted the idea of an advisory program with the intention of advisory being that opportunity for kids to connect with each other and to connect, they have that trusted adult that kind of sticks with them through 4 years of high school or middle school program. So I think that they always have the best intentions for students. I think that they provide really good feedback. I've always felt like their commendations are validating and their recommendations are certainly things to positively consider.
As an example, if you were given the comment that the schedule and homework load is too intense for children, would that require you to lower the expectation of students?
I don't think we're ever talking in terms of lowering expectations. I think it's how we manage the expectations. So homework load doesn't necessarily correlate to high expectations, right, in our academic environments in the classroom. We know that there have been studies done on it, that you could have high expectations for quality rigorous curriculum. That doesn't mean that you also need to assign an hour of homework, right? That homework doesn't necessarily correlate to the critical thinking and problem solving that goes on in classes and what students and how they're learning. So, and we're not under an obligation to necessarily implement the recommendations. There are things for us to consider and grow from.
That was that
Yeah.
was that last sentence.
Yeah. So Officer Joe had to step out. If you have any business, I would just step out for a second and just assess the situation and then potentially be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Christine.
Yes.
Hi, Christine.
Yes.
Yes, can you hear us?
I don't think she.
It's Sonia Stack before Megan jumps out. Or did she leave?
She's gone.
She gone.
Yeah, she-
Okay. But sorry, is now a good time?
Sure, that would be great. If you want to talk, I would love if you could tell everybody a little bit about ADAP as well and your initiatives.
Yes. And I apologize. I was trying to get in before and was not.
No worries.
So I'm on the road. I just wanted to add, I just wanted to add that everything that Megan described about Matt Bellis, she nailed it. So we've been in, there's been a lot of emails going back and forth with her and Mr. Doak because the 7th and 8th graders will also see him. So just very quickly, ADAP stands for the Alcohol and Drug Awareness Program of Weston. And Megan did say we're the local prevention council in town. ADAP has been around for a long time. I want to say probably close to 20 years. And the name is sort of can be misleading because students and parents alike hear alcohol and drug awareness and immediately think, oh gosh, is this for kids who have issues with alcohol or substances? And it's really not. It has also shifted over the last few years before COVID and then through as we moved through the pandemic. And we're really just working to provide information and resources to kids and families around not only the risks of drinking and using substances, which include, it's marijuana, it's vaping. When vaping was had a lot of popularity, it's not quite the right word, but tobacco, and then even prescription drugs along with alcohol. So it's around education about the risks of early use by teens. But more importantly, I think it's about having supportive conversations with your kids at home around why a family might have certain expectations around that and how it can be challenging because different families have different expectations around it. And so it's really about having open conversations and it's not really so much about abstinence and saying don't do, but giving the kids a chance to think about, well, what am I going to do if I'm faced with this choice? And how are other ways that I can maybe deal with some of the stresses of being a teenager in Fairfield County, which is partly what Matt Bellis is going to talk about, hopefully, and it's supposed to be very funny. in a funny way. So that's really the core of what ADAP is. It's a very small board of parent volunteers. And ADAP is a monthly club, it's a high school club, and the students meet monthly at the public library. And they are guided by a trained recovery coach who's independent of the school district. He comes from quite far, actually, and has also been helping Weston kids for more than 10 years. And they talk about whatever they want. It's guided, but it's really non-judgmental, confidential. And we, as a board, we fundraised Evergreen last year it's that dance for 9th and 10th graders, which is our primary fundraiser, and we provide pizza and treats for the kids when they meet. We pay the facilitator, and then we also work with other area local prevention councils. So there are 13 in our region that Weston is a part of, down from Greenwich all the way up to Stratford. And Megan had mentioned that as well, that we hope if there's room in the Zoom for Matt Bellis, we hope to open it up to neighboring towns and have some reciprocity that way. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out. We welcome any help if anybody would like to help out and is interested and has any good ideas or suggestions for what we might do for the kids and the parents or guardians, please reach out. So that's pretty much all I guess I have to say.
That's awesome, Sonia. Thank you so much for logging in, updating and sharing with us. We really admire all the amazing stuff that you make happen.
Oh, no. I mean, it's not an easy thing to talk about, but it's important. So while you have them at home, before they go off to college, right?
Yeah.
We have one left at home. So it's just, you have these conversations and then you send them on their way and hope that they make good decisions that are the best for them. So, and I will stay on. I'm trying to figure out how to mute myself again on the phone. I'm not sure how to do that.
Well, thank you. And
thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, and thank you all the board too. Thank you.
You bet.
Officer Joe stepped back in, and I believe we're ready for him to present if he is.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Would you like to present from the
Oh,
front or
wherever.
This is where people can
Sure.
comfortable lately. So.
Well, I apologize about stepping in and out, but it seems like there's always something going on.
I'll let you introduce and then I'll start.
Yeah, so you can go to the next one, please.
Just when I unshared it.
Yeah. All right. So for those that don't know me, I'm Officer Joe Mogollon, or as it's correctly pronounced, Mogollon. I appreciate that.
I've been mispronouncing it for 4 months, so I appreciate it.
I've been mispronouncing it my whole life. And it's interesting because I have a brother who's a police officer in Norwalk, and they all know him as Officer Mogollon, but I've always said Mogollon, so it's both. I've been with the Weston Police Department for about 18 years. Here within the schools for about 7. And I'll just really touch on this quickly because there's a lot of important stuff that I do want to talk about. I got started with the SRO or being in the schools because I used to do internet crimes against children. And dealing with that, I started doing internet safety. Internet crimes against children is a nationwide program that deals with a lot of unfortunate stuff that happens to kids with online stuff. And within that, we started teaching at the middle school, over 10 years ago now, maybe 10, 15 years ago, about internet safety to all of our kids. So when the position finally opened up for a school resource officer, I was all for it. And to be quite honest, I hope that I never have to leave the schools. It's a completely different, it's not even really policing, I would say. It's about being there for the community. And I really enjoy it. I love the kids. And I think if I hadn't taken this position, I don't know how much longer I would have been in with the police department, just because it is so much different. And you see the kids and you see the impact that you cause or you have with the kids on a daily basis. So it's really something that I enjoy. I am a father of two little ones that I'm trying to do my best with. And here we'll go on to actually, before we go, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong computer here. Actually, before we go into this, because this is a big deal now that we're dealing with the legalization of marijuana all across the country, but more of the SRR role. So there's a lot of things that a school resource officer can bring to the school. We are a direct liaison with the police department. So for example, if there's an issue at home that, let's say there was a domestic disturbance where a parent was arrested, or there was a child that something might have happened to, I have first line communications with police officers, or most often I probably was called while they were on scene because a child was there. And I deal with our administrators, and I'll also give a heads up to our counselors, who will get minimal information. There's still a lot of confidentiality within a lot of these things, but at least I can give them a heads up. I give them that heads up that, this child, you should be speaking to, or, you should check in with them as dealing with a juvenile that's been involved in, let's say, a parent altercation. It's very traumatic. And that's just one of the things, right? There's on any given day, we are dealing with, and I'm sure Ms. Ward will agree, we're dealing with a lot that's non-educational related. We deal with a lot of mental health issues. We deal with a lot of family issues. We deal with a lot of traumatic events. We deal with maybe a parent passing away, or a lot of different things that we may deal with that's, again, not part of the educational process, but that we're here to fix and we're here to help so that they do thrive within our educational process. And that's the best way I can describe it. It's more of like a, oh, sorry, I like to move around a lot. It is more of a, I don't want to say a social worker because I'm not a social worker, but we do play a big part in that, which is another reason why actually I think police officers do need more training with social work, but that's just. Yes, absolutely. So now that I move on, and at the end, please feel free to ask any questions. The marijuana laws have changed in the state of Connecticut. They're changing all across our country. And we are seeing a big problem with marijuana products, especially amongst our youth. They are getting complete mixed messages as to, and it's completely different than alcohol. They know that alcohol is bad. They're not supposed to drink until they're 21. But marijuana is a little bit different, right? We've been telling them since they were babies that it's completely bad, stay away from it. And now we're saying, well, it's actually okay if you're 21 and over. So again, I do think that there's a lot of mixed messages involved in that. And there's also a lot of differences in laws that we do go over actually as they go off to college, because just, it might be legalized here, but they might go off to another state where it's not legalized, and there could be some pretty hefty penalties. So we do talk about that a lot in several different classes, whether it's a government class where they might ask me a question, or a health class, or even if they stop in my office, which they do quite a bit from time to time, and just pick my brain about these certain issues. But just so that you guys know, Obviously, it's been legalized in the state of Connecticut. It used to be decriminalized. Now it's completely legal. You're gonna see a big uptick in this stuff come 2023, and that's when dispensaries are gonna be allowed to open. Not even dispensaries. We do have dispensaries now. You're gonna see stores being able to have that, and you're already seeing it, whether legal or not. I'm walking into stores where even a gas station on any given town, and you're seeing THC products, whether it's legal or not. So again, age 17 and under, just so you know, their possession of less than a half ounce or possession of drug paraphernalia is related. So they go to it's a juvenile issue. So juveniles in the state of Connecticut do not commit criminal acts, or they do not commit crimes. They commit delinquent acts. And there's a very different purpose behind that, okay? So it's not a very a punitive way of dealing with it. So it's not like we're gonna, or the court is gonna say, well, this child was in possession of marijuana or some sort of drug or whatever it may be, except for a handful of very serious issues. They're all gonna land under this delinquent act, which again is confidential for anybody under the age of 18. But the state of Connecticut has also changed a lot as far as how we deal with juveniles within the judicial system. We don't, and they're pushing back, we don't send them right to court. What we do is we have a juvenile review board, which Weston has tied into with Norwalk, just because there's a lot of oversight that needs to happen, and they already have it in place. So the JRB is what we call it, which is the Juvenile Review Board, is a therapeutic approach. And I sit on the board as well as the Norwalk SROs, and there's SROs from different towns, as well as DCF, juvenile probation, there's therapists, Department of Children and Families. And that's not for, again, that's not for, because typically with DCF comes to your house doing an investigation. This is just for having them as an added resource for the resources that they may bring to that particular child. So I'll just take you down really quickly. Let's say a child is arrested for whatever delinquent act they may do, in or out of school. I do have to say we try to minimize any situation in school. So they get, let's say that happens, they get a summons to court. That actual summons does not go to court. That summons stays at the police department in a particular juvenile file. They would get a referral down to the juvenile review board. And there they would have a hearing where they would talk about what it was that they may have made these decisions. Whether it's family related, whether it's peer related, whether it's a substance abuse issue, whether it's a mental health issue, which is typically the cause of that I see, or we've seen here. There's another underlying reason as to why this child made that decision. And the juvenile review board is very helpful, where they do give you a therapeutic approach. So they'll institute like family therapy, individual therapy. They'll contact the school. They'll make sure that, you know, they'll give the student goals as to, you know, get your grades up, not exponentially, but see some improvement. If truancy is an issue, although the state of Connecticut did get rid of truancy.
What?
The state of Connecticut does not have a truancy law anymore.
So you don't have to send your kids to school anymore?
No,
We
there's
have compulsory education laws, right? We have compulsory education.
truancy as far as law enforcement. I can't go in where, you know, 10 years ago, you used to be able to say, well, there's this child is truant. There's certain, you're gonna go to court, you get a summons to court, that is no longer there. However, we do have other things that we can do if a child is not attending school, which the juvenile review board helps out with. But we saw that going to court for not going to school is not helpful. Getting community service for not going to school is not helpful. There's probably a therapeutic approach that we can institute for that. And again, the juvenile review board has been great with that. And the state of Connecticut is basically saying that this is gonna be the first stop for a juvenile. And it used to be where you've got one chance at the juvenile review, because you got one chance at the juvenile review board, and after that, that was your last chance. They're kind of changing up on that. I mean, especially with mental health issues, there should be added ways for this child to get the benefits they need. And the way it works is they give the child a goal. If they complete the goal within 6 months, that arrest never happened. Okay, it's shredded, doesn't go on the record, doesn't go, it's like it never happened. And out of every case, I think we've had one case where it was not successful, and it just wasn't successful because the mental health issues were very, very, they're just too progressed for us to deal with at that level. So it just had to get bumped up to another agency. So that's the juvenile review board, yes.
So a side question, with the change in marijuana laws in general, not specific to Weston or youth, has there been an uptick or a change in the amount of DUIs related to marijuana? Or are you aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. Quite frankly, in my experience, typically people that have used marijuana aren't that bad of a driver. And it's very hard to say, because the people that are all over the road, they're always pretty much intoxicated with pills and or alcohol. We rarely pull over somebody that's that's high, and there has to be a correlation there. Maybe they're able to drive a little bit better. I don't know.
Which adds to the confusion.
Again, yeah, because these kids will see this, they'll say, well, I can do this, I can come to class. I can function with doing, yeah. And with the amount of mental health issues, some of them are self-medicating with the marijuana to calm their anxiety.
So going back to the idea of mixed messages, I am very concerned for my children in thinking that cocaine and other hard drugs are also on the trajectory to being fine. I mean, there's all these conversations about using psychedelics, and what is a good strategy to say to a kid when they're like, oh, well, they'll make it legal soon, so I could do these very hard drugs.
I mean, my
Did everybody hear the question? Can I get a yes, because I can't see the screen? Somebody can unmute and say yes.
Yes.
Yes, could hear the question just fine.
Okay, perfect.
very valid question. My take on it, if a child comes to me, is absolutely not. I relate marijuana almost like I relate to alcohol. It's 21 years old. Once you're 21, you can make that decision, but everything else, and I'll give them examples. A couple of years ago, year and a half ago, we had an individual that graduated from our schools that overdosed on cocaine. We're seeing it quite a bit. A lot of the cocaine is being tainted with fentanyl. And I agree with the psilocybins, the mushrooms. There's all these things that you're seeing, especially on TikTok. And if you guys don't use TikTok, I would recommend. That's another slide that I'll go into further, because they're all over it. There's a lot of information that they get from TikTok. That's like their news source.
Yeah.
You guys watch whatever news source, in the morning or in the afternoon, they're watching TikTok. Okay, and they'll take the people's word for it when someone when someone, pops in on their videos and says, well, microdosing with mushrooms and it's helping my anxiety. And you're like, wow, I should try that. So, you have to almost become one of them. And that's something that I try to do. I try to keep up with all the latest social media stuff, because they are getting all their information from these things.
And Joe, like where they can get it from too, right? Like
Yeah.
stuff is mail order.
Yeah,
So just paying attention.
Right.
correct.
If I could just add, so when I used to practice child analysis psychiatry, I had child patients in the wars in Boston, Chinatown, and I had teenage kids who were putting everything in their bodies. They're called garbage heads, and a lot of my patients were dying. And they were primarily doing this either for social reasons or for the experience they get from it, either because they were trying to self-medicate or they wanted to have fun being high or just chill out, whatever it is. But the problem is when the focus is on experience and then they try to justify they're taking it, now society's changing and now it's legal, they are completely missing the point of what's happening biologically to themselves. Just like nutrition, when we eat or drink anything, there's going to be a biological impact in our bodies, and it gets past our blood-brain barrier, it's going to affect our brains. Same thing for any drugs we take, whether it's a pharmaceutical that has certain FDA applications that have been approved or not. There are going to be positive effects, and there are going to be side effects, adverse effects, and possibly fatal effects. And so, unfortunately, when kids are taking these substances, whatever substances they can find on Earth, they're not thinking about how these substances are impacting their neurotransmitters, their neurons, what's getting imbalanced, what's getting destroyed, and then what are the problems with possible disability and death that can happen. So unfortunately, there's this lack of, because they're trying to look at what's positive about it to themselves, what seems to be positive, and they're not thinking about what are the possible negative outcomes. So yeah, we have to really focus on, I think, negative outcomes and also how this all works. What is the biological mechanism that's involved? What may be the temporary or permanent damage that may occur to you? So that way they can start thinking of it more as something that has considerable risks instead of just something that could be a positive experience.
Yeah.
Hi, Christine.
Yes, Sonia.
I'm sorry, it's Sonia Sack. Hi, Officer Joe. I'm on the phone and it's really hard to gauge when is a good time to ask a question, but you are such an amazing resource for the schools. I had a question on when you say you go into the classes and talk to the students, how often when you go into a gov class or a health class, how often would you say you're reaching the students in each of the grades 9 to 12? Because kids think they're invincible, right? They don't think anything is going to happen. The neurological piece is a big one. I was in a webinar in September that was really for youth serving providers, but it talked about getting the kids' input. So when you talk to your kids about if you were to choose to smoke weed, how would that affect your future? And try to get them to think about how it might affect their future plans, because everything that you say about it, the changes to the structure of the brain are true. I mean, the research bears that out, but the kids don't really think about that. And until your brain is finished baking, right? Until it's like cookies that are half done, the damage can be much more severe in kids than adults. So that's a message too that I think I've heard with trying to, help kids understand that an adult brain and an impact of weed on an adult brain is very different than a developing brain that's not finished baking until 25, 6 years old. But I would just love to know how often you talk to the kids in the classes. And then also in Weston, do you see how much is happening with the edibles or vaping THC? Do you have any information on that you can share?
Absolutely. I would say I try to go into a lot of classes, but it's very different. So whether I'm going into a 10th grade government class or I'm going into a junior, and when I say 10th grade, I see all the 10th grade, or I'll see all the 11th grade health classes, or I'll see them in different classes. So I don't see them, like I won't see the whole school in all their government classes, but it's different and it's throughout the whole year. Or I'll see them every day at the lunch, at lunch, and I'll talk to a lot of the at-risk kids. Not saying that I negate the others, but I do try to pick on and become very friendly with some of the at-risk kids. These are the kids that I deal with quite a bit. And these are the ones that I worry about a lot. But I do see most of the school within a 6-month period, at least talking to them in some sort of capacity. As far as the message with the developing brain, I know the health classes talk a lot about that. I do talk about that as well. However, I kind of walk on eggshells with that because I don't want them to drown. I don't want them to just get so bored and they're like, oh, here's another parent, here's another old person saying these things to me. So I am fortunate enough and unfortunate actually, that I grew up in Norwalk where I have a lot of personal stories. I have a lot of personal stories of friends that have gone down the wrong path. And I try to bring that story back to them. I try to immerse myself in their culture, to the point though, where I tell them what I went through, give them real world stories that could try to help them make those decisions as they go forward. And I have to say, in my first few years here, when I have kids coming up to me and telling me some of the things that they might have done over the weekend as a trusted individual, that became such a great responsibility to me. And it's like, how can I get more of this so that when they come to me, I can say, what could you have done instead of this? What better decisions could you have made instead of this? And it's just a constant battle. It really is. But I think sometimes, especially in some of these very high productive or high producing schools, is that some of the lower producing students or the kids that don't really fit in, they kind of get lost in the mix, right? And those are the kids that I go up to quite a bit actually, and I say, you were my friend in high school. You were the kid, and guess what? Those are the kids that are now doing extremely well that I do, right? And I kind of try to give them that opportunity to kind of see themselves in a different light instead of saying, well, I'm not going to go to Harvard. I hate this stuff. I don't like school, because they like working with their hands, or they just don't fit into this model that we have here. But that's not to say that they're not going to be successful. And again, those are some of the kids that are at risk the most, because there's not a lot of much to do around this town. They feel kind of separated from the other kids that are so college focused, so educationally focused. So those are the kids that I really try to reach out to. But yeah, I do try to give a lot of personal stories, and just kind of bring that back home to what I would do in your shoes.
I am so curious if you would talk about the bathrooms. What's going on with the bathrooms, and is there another strategy other than closing the bathrooms that could prevent the kids from accessing vape pens and whatever else they're doing is closing them?
So I'll talk about the bathrooms let me finish this one, then I'll talk about the vapes, because they go hand in hand, and I'll kind of tell you why it is what it is. Just really quickly, 18 to 24, it's, again, after 21 years old, it's completely legal for marijuana. But if you're 18 to 21 and you do get arrested for possession of less than a half ounce of marijuana, it's adult court, but in my experience, it's a joke. They're probably gonna go to court and it's gonna get dismissed. And the kids know this.
But they have to cut out 7 or 8 days over the course of a year to go to court for 2 hours a month.
Maybe 1 or 2, if that. And Norwalk just closed their court. Now we're all going to Stanford. So all of Lower Fairfield County is going to Stanford court. And they're still catching up from COVID, so good luck.
Yeah.
So again, more mixed messages. These kids know, they all talk. If someone does get arrested for this somewhere else or even in town, they know that nothing is essentially gonna happen. Edibles. So if you look at this, we are seeing a lot of edibles. And it's ever increasing in popularity. These are all edibles that look just like your regular stuff that you would get at the grocery store. These nerd ropes I heard about even before I even knew what they were, and students here, the kids were taking nerd edibles.
Wait, is this sold at dispensaries?
Yes,
Oh my God.
and you can buy it online as well.
Online.
I walked into a gas station in Trumbull a few days ago, and they looked like these. They're different. So there's different edibles as well. There's the real potent ones, like this one here at 600 milligrams of THC, which is, if you were to take that bag, I mean, the psychologist could tell you. This is Officer Kim.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
This is our other SRO.
Just for the people online, because I'm sharing the screen, Officer Kim also came in, so now we have both officers.
Yes.
Here.
Yes. So he helped me out because we had quite a busy morning this morning. Again, we can't really speak because it's confidentiality, but it's all related to mental health.
You made it
We did. Well, yes. So we are seeing a lot of these things. I have a wrapper that we found in school. I have it at the police department. Stony Patch. If you were to put the Stony Patch next to a regular Sour Patch Kid, it's almost identical. You know, the Pop-Tarts versus Pop-Tarts, you can't even tell.
Oh my God, I didn't even notice.
I didn't
I'm
either.
like, why is it circled? I
Yeah.
didn't even notice. Oh my gosh.
And, you know, the Fritos, that actually says Fritos, Ruffles, and Doritos. The only way you would know that there's marijuana in those is that there's usually a THC little symbol at the bottom, or a marijuana leaf somewhere here.
Are they licensed through
Right,
the Frito-Lay brand?
Yeah,
Or
that's-
that's completely knockoff?
No, complete knockoff. So you don't even know where some of these, some of them are, you know, where they're getting made, because they'll have the dispensary on there. But these things, you don't even know what's in them.
The high school sent a thing about Halloween, or the school district sent a thing about Halloween, that we should be checking candy for fentanyl.
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
what they're talking about?
No.
Yeah.
Well,
This is
No.
different.
this is legal stuff now
Yeah.
because, but the fentanyl part, that's very scary just because, do you want to take care of that?
Nobody's giving away fentanyl. Is this a real thing?
So the fentanyl thing, so.
Excuse
the
me, one
research that
minute.
he has to go take care of something real quick, but what we've noticed is that, so the raw materials typically come from China. And what happens is that gets shipped over to, because a lot of the intake to the US has been stopped because of all the pressure. Now it's going towards cartels in Mexico. And the Mexican cartels are using pill presses, other means to make that powder either look like candy and sealing it in actual candy bags. I doubt that they're going, hey, kids, here's a bag. It's more of like transporting it into the borders. And it's a big business right now, and that's what it is, because right now they even have fentanyl detection kits for drug abusers so that they don't die. And they actually have like strips that they give out in certain areas. Narcan, they've been giving that out. I haven't seen it personally here. We get a lot of like notices and we've seen it on the news. But the scary thing is the packaging looks exactly like a typical Skittles. And it's not like Skittles, Sweet Tarts, and it looks like a powdery, I don't know if it is, but if you knew what ecstasy was back like 10, 15 years ago when that was big, they would have airplanes with like their own logos. That's basically their trademark.
So the packaging is what looks like something
Yes,
else,
that's what's
not
scary.
the actual thing.
No, because I mean, unless they actually have like the materials to make like a candy shell with that in it, it's not. They actually, from what I've seen, don't quote me on it because I don't know, it's always something new, and they're getting better and better. I've worked with the US Postal Inspection, and they actually confiscate pill presses that come from the Netherlands, China, and those pill presses are considered illegal items to bring into the country.
Nice.
And that's what's scary because, and even with Halloween, my kids, when they opened the Twix, and they were like,
My kids too.
it's like, Dad, I threw it out because it was white and powdery looking. So I looked at it, it just looked old. But these
Yeah.
kids at least know it. I don't know if it's only my kids, because I scared into them. I'm like, don't eat it. But even then, the fact that they just know that something's not right. And God forbid anything like that happens where you see someone having a hard time breathing, because that's what it does. It depresses your respiration. You got to give rescue breathing, and we could come quick and give them Narcan. And that's the key thing. Even before, we're taught that before you even give Narcan as an antidote, to actually just continue the respiration. They'll keep that person alive. And even with like police dogs, they'll overdose. We can't even test it anymore because one powder molecule, if we ingest it or touch our skin with it, we could go in overdose.
Right.
Received 25 on that. I took one for 25 class. Yeah, so but that's what's going on. Today's been crazy. I don't know what's going on.
It was a full moon last night.
Oh, thank you. That's it. Yes.
What you're saying though is that the stuff that looks like, I mean, they're just using it to transport. It's not like they're giving them to kids, because those things are worth like.
From what,
thousands.
from the notifications
Yeah.
I get from the DEA or whatever, they're kind of classified. They've never said that they're targeting kids with it.
No.
It's just the fear that you might have a package that might slip out.
By accident.
I mean, the whole point of them is to get the drugs into the country to sell, because they're not gonna give it away. It's money for them.
It's money.
It's all business. It's a business model.
That's what I thought. I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way they're giving away fentanyl.
If there
Can't
are,
be.
that's a sick person if they're trying to give that away to kids, because,
Could be.
yeah.
But to your point, I think where the confusion happened from a mass public standpoint is that on these social media, they were showing pictures of actual Skittles
Mhm.
next to pictures of what looked like Skittles.
Yes.
And they were saying these are laced with fentanyl.
Yeah.
So that created, the hysteria in
Yeah.
all of us.
Well,
But I think that's why it's so important to have the correct information, not to say that that could not happen,
yeah.
but understanding the
Right.
logic of it is being used, the packaging to slip through,
Yes.
the borders and so on and so forth. And to your point, this is money, so it's not necessarily something that they're just going to freely give away.
Yes, and the other thing is, sugar is really bad anyway, so just
Mhm.
cut it out. Kids
Yeah.
I have to, because my liver's a little fat, according to my doctor, and I don't drink, so that's a problem. If I drink, that,
Well, and that's the thing, I was looking on TikTok and I scared the crap out of my
Yes.
boys by saying, don't eat sweet tarts because they're
Yes.
fentanyl laced.
Right.
Or they
And-
could be, and just don't eat them from anybody you don't
Yeah,
know. If I
exactly.
don't buy it from
if
the
you
store,
buy it from a
which I don't,
store,
right,
because
but
that's all
just don't
supposed to be
take it
regulated.
randomly
Yes.
from somebody.
And the fact that this came out right before Halloween is what made it even crazier.
Yes.
Oh,
And
it
it's
was so
targeted.
creepy.
Yes, it was the worst possible time. We're like, what, seriously? You couldn't do this,
Ruined
like,
For the kids, yeah.
yeah, so, yes.
Just to segue on what Kim was just saying, that don't take stuff from random people. and
Yes.
Yeah.
From a teen perspective, could you, I don't know, have the school or you guys support just general safety and street smarts for teens? I know as a mom, like, I feel like I'm constantly briefing my teens on, say they go to a concert
Yes.
and they're, don't take gum from anybody, don't,
Yes.
even if they seem like they're a nice family, don't, drink their water from their water bottle, bring your own water, whatever it is. Is there any initiative in schools
Yeah,
where
so-
we talk about basic?
You know what, I know Officer Joe and Officer Curcio. Officer Curcio is a big like jujitsu guy. And I know before they get sent off to college, they do have a class where they do like basic self-defense, like, having spatial awareness, not having headphones on while you're walking in the dark street so that you can't hear. But they do a class like that, part of the gym curriculum. So that they will teach you basic moves, like how to break away from a fight. Because you know what, no one wants to fight. It's because even if you do get in a fight and you're justified in fighting back, if someone gets seriously injured, you're still in trouble. So that's what they try and teach them, like the common things, you know, don't go to an ATM in the middle of the night if you don't have to. Go somewhere like brightly lit, gas stations, get gas before it gets dark. You know, don't run out of gas if you're in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's just the little things. And, you know, growing up Weston's a very nice town, but they're not really exposed to that all the time. So that's the kind of thing we teach. Even with internet security, we will talk about a lot of things like, you know, keeping your identity safe, keeping your, you know, basic, you know, common sense using the internet. So, yeah, it's not changed.
The biggest one though is gonna be like scams, because that's the thing I worry about for my son specifically, but I mean, they're amazing right now. I mean,
They're getting very good at it.
I mean, I've nearly been caught, and I'm on this stuff all the time, so.
Yes. I mean, a lot of the, you know, I have a $10 million thing, I need your bank account to deposit.
Yeah,
that's kind of gone by the wayside, but now it's the phishing emails. They got
Yeah.
really good, and they even target the school emails. Because I know in the middle school, the IT personnel there sent a notice out saying, watch this video, please, and let the kids watch it. But then a teacher wrote back, how do we know this is really James? And then the IT guy writes back, goes, because I can spell my name. And, you know, it's kind of like a joke, but it's really good now. And we told, you know, we taught WHS yesterday, the 5th graders, about the internet and cyberbullying. But we talked to them about the, like, no one's going to give you a link saying you have to reset your password, you know, unless you request it. Or, you know, look for spelling errors in the email. Because, I mean, at that age, they don't have credit cards. But once you give your password out, because they'll say, click here to, you know, change your name and password, enter your username and password. What do you think that does? Just grab it.
Even something as basic, click on this link. Well,
Yes.
the link is like XYZ and it's not like Amazon.com. It's like has the extension of something else, you know, right then.
It's little things, you know,
It's
like the
just-
masks, you know, you can hover over it, and it'll tell you the actual thing.
Yes.
It comes to a
And it
place in
comes-
like Belarus or something.
Right,
But yes,
yeah.
so I don't know what Officer Joe talked about, but is there any other like questions? Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Oh, I wanted to ask
Yes.
about the bathroom situation
Oh,
and
in
how
here?
we can
Oh,
keep
yeah.
the bathrooms open and can we go and kill all the people that are selling
Okay, wow.
cigarettes to the kids?
Yeah, so,
That's extreme.
yeah,
I
you
didn't-
know,
I
we don't know. But, yeah, so, the bathroom, so the problem is the bathrooms, you know, everyone has a right to privacy. And, I mean, unless they, I don't know what they did at the high school, but I know in the middle school, they've had some one or two, but they did 2 rounds in the bathrooms. And the reason why those are so hard to solve is that you have time frames, right? And you might have a rush of kids going in and out. Unless the school interviews every single kid that went in and out, and if they tell them the information, like, oh yeah, I did it, or this guy did it, or someone leaks it, it's very difficult to pinpoint someone. I don't know, did they close them down here, do you know?
Regularly.
They do,
Yeah,
okay, last year,
regularly.
yeah.
Last year, there was like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, it really comes down to monitoring.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's
Something you can get.
it's difficult because no teacher wants to like sit in the bathroom, you know.
Or outside the bathroom,
Yes,
like,
and-
come on, I don't blame them.
I mean, it's really like for us, you know, we're just kind of, we try to teach them like, you know, this is your like property, you know, have some pride in your own property.
Oh, it's not because of smoking? I thought it was.
Oh, no,
because
no,
of
well, the
smoking.
vaping stuff, that is very difficult to find. So even when you vape marijuana, if they use wax or whatever, it's like just the THC, the purified form, the smell goes away real fast. It's not like the plant when you smoke
So
it.
that's not why you're closing the bathroom?
No, I think the last time, I can't speak for the high school, but I think the last time was the TikTok
The
challenge.
vandalism, yeah. the
Where they would just like rip the
Right.
sinks off, rip the stall apart. And that was, it's called Devious Licks, and that was last year or a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And the whole point of that TikTok challenge was literally to see what you could steal from the bathrooms. Like rip the paper towel holder off, steal the toilet paper, and then brag about it on social media. Which is completely pointless, because you're just saying, look at this crime I committed, look what I just did. And that's what that was, but the,
Oh.
so Ridgefield High School, I know they got the vape detectors, but they regularly have false alerts.
What is a vape detector, like a?
So the detector smoke, and the vape actually is, it's propylene glycol, and they vaporize that and gives it that cloudiness. And it sort of detects that fogginess in the air. But I know Ridgefield had a ton of false alerts, right? With the,
I don't remember.
He's done. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been crazy. I don't
It's
know.
not
yeah,
good.
it's Friday, I don't know.
Well, I heard there was a full moon yesterday, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you feel like we need to wrap up at all.
No, because
There's a question there.
we do work hand in hand.
Okay.
There are some at the bathroom. I thought-
Yeah, so the next one I wanted
I
to
thought
say,
the bathroom was about smoking.
Well,
I'm so
I know
glad
that-
you clarified.
I think it's.
so this is